Unhospitality, the #1 podcast in the world.
Welcome back to Unhospitality, the #1 podcast in the world. My name is Jeremy. I'm your host, and I'm thrilled to be bringing you the untold stories of hospitality. We peel back the curtains in the lobby to show you what goes on between check-in and check-out, as told by the professionals who live them. We're tapping into the insights and stories of industry experts, frequent travelers, some of the more entertaining folks that I've met along my 26 years in the hospitality industry. I'm bringing them to tell their stories to you and to keep us entertained in this highly entertaining world of hospitality. If you've worked in hospitality, you know what I'm talking about. If you travel, you probably know what I'm talking about too. These are the stories that start out with some kind of version of, "You'll never believe what just happened to me." These are the stories I want to bring to you as a insider who's been in hospitality for 26 years, like I just said. I've seen a lot. Man, it's been a wild ride, but this is an industry with all of its ups and downs, with all of its disappointments. There's so many thrilling parts of travel. You know, my favorite book is my passport. It's something that has brought me such a depth of perception of the world around me. It's opened my eyes to things that I never thought I have seen. So if you're able to travel, please do. These are the stories from behind the scenes that would hopefully inspire you to pick up your passport and get out there and see other parts of the world as well. I remind you, we're launching in January 2026. I'm thrilled. We're just a few weeks away from launching officially. Watch for us on YouTube. Listen for us on whatever your preferred platform for a podcast are, whether that be Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you get your podcast from. Give us a follow, give us a like, make sure you're supporting in the best way that you can. I will be deeply grateful and would appreciate any kind of support you can lend as we launch and try and grow this podcast. Yeah. It's probably going to suck for a while because, you know, I'm the firm believer you've got to suck at something if you ever want to be good at it. So I am firmly committed to being in the sucking stage for a little while. Forgive me for any amateur aspects of this podcast, but hopefully as time goes by and we get a little better at this will improve. I'm going to start today's podcast. This is just a teaser because I don't have a guest with me today, and that's obviously going to be the purpose of the podcast going forward. But as we tease this podcast through the month of December, I'm going to share some stories of stuff that's happened to me that I've seen and experienced in my travels throughout the world. This particular story takes place in October of 2013. If you're familiar with the group and travel business, the MICE business, as they say, within the travel world, you will know about IMEX America. IMEX America is one of the biggest trade shows where destinations, hotels, DMCs, anyone who has anything to do with group travel comes to one of the bigger convention centers. This has been in various formats over the years in various places, but it's a massive convention in Las Vegas where hotels and destinations get together with buyers and people who move group business. The hotels talk about what the latest is at their hotel, the renovations that are going on, and making contacts and connections with the people who are moving business. In a sense, it's just a great way to network, make friends, learn about what's going on in the hospitality industry. And it's a massive trade show all revolving around travel and group events in hotels. Okay. I'm there in 2013. And as part of this event, you're often invited to various cocktails, dinners, breakfast, lunch, etc. You know, the purpose is to have meetings throughout the day in the structured environment of the trade show floor. But then before, during, and after, there are all kinds of leisure stuff that you're invited to get to know your hotel representatives, your destination representatives even better. It was the final night of IMEX America 2013, and I had been invited by the Waldorf Astoria brand to the Shania Twain concert at the Coliseum in Caesar's Palace. They had invited a handful of buyers, essentially us, to do a cocktail reception, and they were going to treat us to the Shania Twain concert as a courtesy, as a thank you, as an incentive to try and bring business to them. Really a relationship builder and getting to know the folks at the Waldorf Astoria brand. I am not a huge Shania Twain fan, but no worries, doesn't matter. It's a great event. I was doing business with Waldorf Astoria at the time. In fact, I still do quite a bit of business with Waldorf Astoria. So I saw it as an opportunity to meet the reps. And of all the invitations I got that week, I chose to do this one particular event. I got to the event and we're on the other side of the lobby where from the Coliseum where the concert is. And we start with a cocktail reception there. Have a great conversation. In fact, I remember specifically that evening, I had a phenomenal conversation with Janine Lambrano, who, Janine, if you're listening, I know you're not in hospitality anymore, but I still remember that heartfelt conversation we had. Lovely time, great conversation we had talking about life, love, happiness, work, etc., which is often, by the way, what happens in this industry. You meet some phenomenal people and the relationship extend way beyond the group contract and the business at hand. You make some solid friends and people you stay connected to for the rest of your life. Part of the reason why I started this podcast in the first place. So anyway, I'm getting sidetracked. At this particular cocktail reception, having the conversation with Janine, somebody from the Waldorf brand thought it would be a funny idea to bring all kinds of props like boas and hats and glasses, almost like, if you'd see a photo booth where they take your, three photos and you get a memory of that night for the photos. There were props like that. One of the props was, or I should say, there was probably several of them, if I recall correctly. But one of the props they had brought was a massive, wicked big paper mache flower. Okay. There were several colors, and there was one among them that was this big pink flower, almost like a boutonniere, but massive. I was wearing a black sweater, and I figured just to be a little crazy and whatever, just going in the flow of these ridiculous props, I picked up the pink flower and I buttoned it to my shirt as this display of kind of whatever weirdness, wildness, whatever, just to kind of make a conversation starter. Okay. Conversations are winding down. Cocktail receptions winding down. In fact, I remember quite frantically one of the reps from Waldorf Astoria said, "We got to go. Like the concert's about to start." We all had to make a mad dash across the lobby of Caesar's Palace to get to the Coliseum. We got to the lobby area of the Coliseum, like the foyer area, and it was empty. Everyone had already gone in, taken their seats for the concert. We were the last ones to arrive. And as we're passing by, there's one bar outside the venue that's still open. So a few of us stopped, said, let's get one more drink before we head in. And we stopped there and we're waiting for the bartender to make our drinks. And as we're sitting there laughing, mind you, I still have my pink boutonniere on. A French gentleman approaches us and he starts to laugh along with us. And, we're at this point, there's no one else in the lobby except for us and this one gentleman. Don't know who he is, starts to make conversation with us. Ha ha ha. He says, "You guys are pretty funny." I'm like, yeah, we're pretty funny. How you doing tonight, bud? Um, didn't quite know what to make of him. He continues the conversation and whatever. We're hospitality people. We'll talk to anybody. So we begin to engage this guy. He says, no, you are really funny. You. And he points to me. And I'm like, okay. He said, "You would be great on stage with Shania Twain." I realize it's a really shitty French accent. But anyway, he was doing my best to represent him. He tells me specifically that I would be good on stage with Shania Twain. I'm kind of like, yeah, buddy, that's a great story. Okay, have another drink, right? It turns out, though, this is actually Shania Twain's husband and manager. If you know anything about Shania Twain and her story, her first husband cheated on her with her best friend. The best friend was married to this French guy. When Shania and her husband split, again, he went with Shania's best friend. Well, the husband of the best friend is consoling Shania, and they end up together. So it's sort of like a swap situation. The husband goes with the best friend's husband ends up with Shania, and they live happily ever after, right? He's her husband, her manager, and he is seeking out people in the crowd to go up on stage with Shania Twain. Okay, tell me more. He tells me that there's this part in the concert where Shania Twain talks about how country music is all about storytelling, and they invite a few people up on stage to tell their stories. Very briefly, give us your quick, 30-second story, and we'll move into a song where you'll be sitting on a fake fireplace set. It's almost like a campfire type spot where they put rocks up and stuff. You'll sit on the rocks. Shania will sing her song, and then we'll escort you off the stage. Are you down? I'm like, count me in. Why not? I'll do anything once, right? He says, great. You're going to wait and see at a certain point of the concert. You're going to have an usher come. They'll flash a light for you. Follow the usher back behind stage, and we'll count on you just to be up on stage with Shania Twain. I mean, at this point, I'm like, what the heck kind of story am I going to tell to Shania Twain? I mean, we don't have a ton of time. My mind is racing. thinking how I can fit in my story in 30 seconds on the stage. But I have a bit of a plan. I don't know enough of Shania Twain's music, but I know a little bit about it. And I'm hoping that one key element of what I'm wearing will trigger a question from Shania. We go up on stage. Sure enough, just as he said, this thing flashes on the screen. I see the flashlight from the usher. I'm ushered backstage. It's me and another girl named Jenny, I think from Boston. I'm like, Jenny and I connected a little bit in the song before our stage appearance. And, hey, Jenny, how you doing? Whatever, whatever. We go on stage and Shania starts with Jenny. Hi, what's your name? I'm Jenny from Boston. Da, 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 da. She tells her story. Now, keep in mind, this is 4 days into a conference where you're waking up very early, going to breakfast. You're talking all day long. You're getting drinks in the afternoon, in the evening. You're usually partying because they have after-hour parties all up until my voice at this point is pretty much fried. Shania Twain comes up to me and, gets done with Jenny. Well, hello. And I'm like, hi, Shania. My voice, if it's deep now, it was like 10 times deeper in this one moment when I'm talking shit to Shania. And she kind of, she jumps back a little, somewhat flirtatious. It was cute. It was, Shania's as cute as a button. And she just kind of like, played a little flirtatious, your deep voice type thing. She asked me what my story is. And I said, oh, Shania, we're here for a industry trade show. It's called IMEX. And we're here with our partners from Waldorf Astoria. So the Waldorf Astoria people go crazy, and Shania takes the bait and asks the question that I was hoping she would ask. She looks at me and she says, what's up with this pink flower you have on your chest? Which, of course, I was still wearing. I said, Shania, I thought you'd never ask. The Waldorf people thought it'd be funny to bring some props like boas and hats and fake glasses and, of course, these flowers. I just picked the loudest, craziest one I could find and stuck it on my chest. And, I don't mind wearing it, but every once in a while, the thought crosses my mind is, man, I feel like a woman. The crowd goes crazy. Everyone laughs. It was hysterical. She rolled her eyes like you couldn't. I think she saw the back of her head. She rolled her eyes so much. Of course, she hadn't sung that song yet. She was going to finish with that song. It was the grand finale of the whole concert. I got off stage after the crowd. they really did eat it up. The husband and the manager, that was fantastic. They're going to think you work with us. Ha ha ha. Well done. So anyway, that's my moment of fame. This is kind of hospitality adjacent, not necessarily something that happened within the four walls of the hotel, but in this crazy travel industry and all the fun opportunities we're given to celebrate and have fun with each other. This is one of the more memorable times that I've had at a hospitality related event. The time that I was on stage with Shania Twain and used her own song to tell a corny one liner. Anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed the story. I promise you the stories that I'm going to be bringing with our guests are going to be far more entertaining and far funnier than this one. But again, I'm teasing the idea of unhospitality. Please follow us, like us, give us all the love you can and support. Until we talk again, guys, safe travels.